What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Now, today's video, I'm going to be going over how to develop emotional intelligence. Now, if you guys have not seen my video, 9 signs that show you have emotional intelligence, I'll leave that link down in the description if you guys want to check that out. So in that video, I showcase the signs that shows a person who has emotional intelligence, right? So in this video, I'm going to be going over how to develop emotional intelligence and to explain why emotional intelligence and emotion in general play a big part in co-creating your own reality. All right, so let's not waste any time. Let's go ahead and get started. So when it comes to emotional intelligence, when it comes to emotion, our emotions play a big part in our everyday lives, right? So our thoughts, right? Certain thoughts that we have about ourselves, thoughts that we have about other people, other circumstances. Our thoughts trigger certain emotions, right? The emotions is the driving force behind our actions, right? So our emotions lead to certain actions, right? And those actions lead to the results, all right? So once we harmonize our emotions and our thoughts, right? The combination of emotion and action is energy in motion, right? That's all emotion is energy in motion. We're able to utilize that emotional intelligence that we have worked on, that we have practiced, that we have alchemized into our daily being, into our daily life. We're able to use it towards something positive, towards something productive, right? So, if you're a person that's, filled with trauma, who has not worked on themselves psychologically in an effective way, then our emotions can steer towards a certain reality that we don't want to be a part of, that we don't want to exist in, right? So it's always important for us to be aware of ourselves and to, work on ourselves, working on our emotional body and things of that nature. Okay. So the first thing in developing emotional intelligence is you have to acquire self-awareness. Now, most people, we don't take the time to be in the gym with our life, to be in the lab with our life. We're not aware of ourselves. We don't know ourselves. And when a person doesn't know themselves, then they can be influenced by many different things within their external reality, right? If their internal reality is not up to par and where it needs to be, then they can be influenced, they can be manipulated, they can, be triggered by something outside themselves, or be, taken over by something externally. So we have to be, aware of ourselves. We have to get to know ourselves better, right? We are the awareness experiencing itself. That's why it's called self-awareness, right? We are not just this physical body. We are not this, we are not just this temporal body, right? It's a part of us, but it's not actually who we are. We are the awareness experiencing our thoughts, right? Thoughts leads to emotion, emotion leads to action, action leads to results. So we are the awareness of all of these things. We are the awareness experiencing itself. That's what we are ultimately. So once we get a good concept of this, and once we start to understand this, we can, develop that self-awareness and start understanding more about ourselves and discovering the hidden gifts and the hidden capabilities that exist within us all. Right? So acquiring self-awareness is key. Okay? So the second thing to develop emotional intelligence is developing heart and mind coherence. Right? So when we, operate within our conscious mind, operate within our 5 senses, operate from just our logical state of being, then we are only utilizing 10% of our actual brain, right? So when we have that heart and mind coherence, right, when our heart connects with our mind, then we're able to understand not only ourselves, but everything around us. We're able to gain more knowledge and gain more insights about ourselves and everything around us, right? So our minds should be used as filing cabinets, right? We should be thinking with our hearts. When the heart thinks and the mind feels, the river of wisdom flows, right? So when we have that heart and mind coherence, we have that balance between the left and the right brain, we have the balance between the conscious and the subconscious, then that's when that river of wisdom starts to flow. That's when that self-awareness starts to kick in. That's when we start discovering more about ourselves and start loving ourselves more, having more gratitude for being who we are, right? Loving ourselves more, having that self-confidence, having that self-perseverance and things of that nature, right? So having that heart and mind coherence is key when developing emotional intelligence, okay? Third thing, you have to acquire self-acceptance. Now, when you accept yourself as who you are, when you start having that self-love about yourself, when you develop self-worth, when you appreciate yourself for, surviving everything that you've been through, all the trauma you've been through, all the backstabbing that you've been through, all the, things that's been going on in your life, you realize that everything happens, things don't happen to you, they happen for you. They happen because of you, right? So once we understand, having self-acceptance, having self-love, having self-worth, then we can begin to utilize that loving energy. We begin to utilize that self-worth and put it towards something positive, put it towards something productive, things that we want to achieve in life, things that we want to do in life, right? That doesn't mean that we, just accept our mistakes and keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again. Oh, I still love myself at the end of the day, but I'm gonna keep continuing to make these same mistakes. That's not the case. That's not what I'm saying. We still have to work on ourselves, right? We still have to, develop ourselves every single day. But the most important key factor in it all is we have to accept ourselves as who we are and not, try to change ourselves because we want to impress people, or change ourselves because we want to impress the next girl, impress the next guy, impress our colleagues, impress our friends and things of that nature. So once we begin to accept ourselves as who we are, then that's when we start being more confident in ourselves and start loving ourselves more on a deeper innate level. So self-confidence is another one. Next one, you have to acquire resilience. Okay? So when we step outside our comfort zone, because we have to step outside our comfort zone in order to change, in order to become better people and become better spirits having a human experience, right? So once we become resilient, once we have that resilient spirit within us, the world is able to meet an unshakable force, right? The world meets an unshakable force. It has no choice but to respect that person. It has no choice but to respect that force, right? So when we, give into our weaknesses, give into our temptations, give into our, our vulnerabilities, right? The world tries to take advantage of that. The world knows your weaknesses now, right? Because you let the world know your weaknesses, and you let the world, dictate and influence you and persuade you to think a certain way or to do something in a particular fashion or particular manner. But once we, outsmart the matrix, once we outsmart our subconscious, when we outsmart the world has no choice but to reflect that back to you. The world has no choice but to respect you as an unshakable force, as an unmovable force, right? So having that resilience is detrimental to developing emotional intelligence, right? So you have to acquire personal growth, right? Like I said at the beginning, being in the gym with your life, being in the lab with your life, always working on yourself, discovering yourself, educating yourself, right? Just always learning. We're always learning. We're always learning. We're always learning. This is a big earth school, right? We came down here to learn and to progress and to evolve, right? So we have to, majority of our life, majority of our time, we have to spend that time developing ourselves, working out, reading books, developing our mind, developing our spirit, right? Doing whatever is necessary, doing certain exercises, doing certain, mental exercises, physical exercises. Just always be in the lab with your life, always progressing, always working on yourself to the fullest, right? So acquiring personal growth, always growing, always learning, always developing yourself, things of that nature, right? Next thing, acquiring meaning and purpose. So when a person doesn't know what their purpose is, the person that asks the question, what is the meaning of life? What am I meant to do on this planet? I don't know what to do. I'm just, stuck at this corporate job that I don't want to be in. I'm just stuck in this situation that I don't want to be in. And what is the meaning of life? Right? When people don't know what their purpose is and they don't know their meaning within the world, they become miserable. They become stagnant, right? But when a person understands their true potential and what their purpose is on this planet is, then that's what drives us to take certain actions within our life. That's what drives us to strive for better things, to acquire better things, to learn better things, right? To just always developing and working on yourself. So that is a key requirement, and that's a key thing that you need to do in order to have emotional intelligence, in order to be happy in your life, in order to have that dopamine kick within your mind, right? So acquiring purpose, knowing what your purpose is, and understanding what you are meant to do on this planet is a good thing to do and a good thing to discover to acquire that emotional intelligence. Okay? So next thing, do not let anything negative make any impression on you. So this is very important. When you let, let's say a person who is talking about you in a certain way, or you're just always in the news, being in fear, listening to other people talk about the world in a negative way. You're just always you're always putting yourself out there in negativity, or you let, certain outcomes, affect you in a negative way, right? We're all humans. We all have emotions. We all, don't have the best of days every day. We're always affected by something outside of ourselves. But it's important for us to not let these negative things make an impression on us. Because when we make negative things make an impression on us, that's when we start to fold. That's when we start to, curl up in a ball, curl up in a fetal position. And like I said in the beginning, the world is able to figure out your mold. The world is able to figure out your weakness, right? And that's reflected in your external reality, right? So once we develop ourselves internally and, understand that everything that we see, is not what it seems, and we have to rise above this material realm and think in terms of the spiritual realm, think in terms of the mind's eye and the pineal gland, we can, overcome these sorts of problems that we may be going through, or these people that we might, be with, or be, that we're around, and things of that nature, right? So the world has no choice but to respect you, right? When we, stand our ground, when we act as gods and goddesses on this planet, when nothing outside of ourselves can affect us in any type of way, can shake us in any type of way, then that's when we can understand ourselves and develop that emotional intelligence. So try not to let anything negative make any impression on you. And then the last thing is controlling your spirit, right? So our spirit is our energy, right? Our spirit is what keeps us going. Our spirit is what keeps us, moving in the right direction, right? The soul is the flame, and the spirit is the oxygen that provides oxygen to the soul, right? It's what the spirit is what keeps the soul alive. So we have to be able to control our spirit in every which way, right? Just like meditating. Meditating is a great way to control your spirit. Forming authentic relationships, things of that sort. Well, we always have to be, controlling our spirit. So once we control our spirit, nothing outside of us can affect us in a detrimental way. So having that calm, relaxed spirit, having that warrior spirit, having that warrior soul is what is going to help us maintain that emotional intelligence or develop that emotional intelligence. Okay? So there you have it, guys. This is how to develop emotional intelligence. Hopefully this video has shed some light on you all. Developing emotional intelligence is a very important thing in regards to co-creating your own reality. Our emotions drive us to do certain things and perform certain actions, right? If you are imbalanced emotionally, if your emotion is all over the place and you never taking the time to work on your emotions and develop emotional intelligence, hopefully these pointers and hopefully this information will be able to help you out in regards to developing that emotional intelligence. All right? So till next time, and always remember, all power resides from within, and always keep the faith because God in the universe is always working for you. Take care, guys, and God bless.